So they come back the next night, try to steal it. John sees this. They get into a little bar brawl, right? So John starts pounding these guys into the floor of his bar, and a couple of gunshots go off. John gets hit in the neck, and ricochets and lands in the wall. John gets up, he goes back to the bar, and he says, get me another beer, and go get them 2 guys an ambulance. John's the one that got shot. So he's just told the bartender to get them 2 guys an ambulance. Plus, nobody died. So what's haunting the place? The bullet hole. It's allegedly still there. Ooh. I say allegedly because they are renovating the place. As you can see, all the brown paper all over the windows. So they're probably turning it into another bar, I'm sure. But people that sit in the front of the bar get a little queasy, headache, nauseous. Ooh. Just slight symptoms. I bring this up on purpose because I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect anybody. I don't say this to scare you. It is a literal health hazard. If you feel any of those symptoms, please speak up. It's a big deal. So, you guys don't seem like you're too concerned with it. So let's move on and not talk about our health, right? Nobody likes to think they're about to get sick on a fun tour. So we had an earthquake. Have you guys taken any historical type tours, carriage rides, that kind of stuff? You guys seem like you've been doing a little bit of everything.
We've been here for a week.
Oh, okay, cool.
We just walked around the battery and stuff.
You're going to hear about our big earthquake a lot. 1886, I'm sure you guys already heard about it.
I notice all the bolts in the buildings now because of it.
And I'll talk about those at the very end. But the reason why I bring it up here is because this is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. A piece of the mantle that you guys see in the center of the building also wraps around the front of the building. A piece of it in the front broke off, struck somebody in the head, and killed him. Apparently, you can see his ghost out here on East Bay Street in the middle of the night when it's nice and quiet. I say all this allegedly because I don't have the actual proof. It's just a great story, so you're not thinking about getting sick on my tour. So, it's a great segue, right?
Yeah.
So, are you guys ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do it. Let's go this way.
Spirit box says don't lie.
Nice. Good. This parking lot's not full tonight. It's a private lot. Last night it was jam full. So I would tell you it was like 7 degrees warmer down here last night, and I was already drenched by the time I reached you. And poor girls had to smell me all night long. So anyway, this is kind of like your level 1. Remember I told you to treat this as a training course. So level 1 kind of tells you this is going to be very simple, just so you can get used to your devices. This is what I call the big red barn lot. This is where we keep your horses for your carriage rides. So you guys can probably smell them. I'm immune to that whole smell. So the horses are in the front of this barn. You notice that those windows don't have glass in them. So your spirit box, where's the loud one? You. So you're going to kind of keep that audio just to you and Wayne.
Like just keep it up a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit. Once we get everything rolling.
Okay.
So just so you know, you don't want to be too loud. You don't want to spook those horses. If you wanted a jump scare, that's the way to get it because they will kick that metal behind them. Yeah, it's very loud. So the history here is very brief. Like I said, this is where we kept horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. So the key words there are delivery, milk, and eggs. So let's talk about spirit boxes because half of you have one. So this is not TV. This isn't is somebody here because if they answer no, I mean somebody's here. They answered you. Okay, so we want to stay away from yes or no questions all night long. There's always a way to rephrase the question. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you something simple you already know the answer to. If somebody's here, tell me what color the barn is. Obviously it's red, right? So you're going to be listening for the color red. But keep in mind, a DJ or a song lyric or the color red might not be in your vocabulary on your box. So they're going to give you terms that might be specifically red items. Blood, heart, fire truck. I just said all 3 of those words and you all thought of something specifically red. Fire truck's not going to be blue, right? So last night when I was telling this part of it, the word blood showed up like right away. It was like perfect timing. Like yes, we got one. So you're going to be listening for those kind of terms. In the event after a few tries you don't get an answer out of that, then you're going to open it up a little bit. What's inside the barn? Now we know that they're animals, they're horses, they're draft horses, that's the breed. They delivered milk and eggs to the city of Charleston. So we're going to ixnay on Charleston because that's probably going to show up a lot on yours. You're in Charleston. You're listening to Charleston radio stations. But milk and eggs are also protein and calcium, just to kind of give you a little bit of what could happen here. So again, these are the kind of terms that you're going to be using all night long. So when I'm telling you the history of a place, listen for those key words. I'll always give you extra questions that might inspire you. You can use what I give you. You can go rogue. As long as I can prove it, it's game. So again, usually with servants, slaves, I can't prove it. There's not a whole lot of records there. I want to be able to give you full data back. Mixed feelings about how somebody felt about something, I can't prove that. I need ages, numbers, marriages, husbands, those kind of stuff. So that's kind of what we're going after tonight. I do want to work with the thermal imaging a little bit more, and then I'm going to jump over to Wayne. So literally the rest of you, all three of you, I'll catch up to Wayne. If you just want to take a quick lap, or you can hang out here with us, that's fine too. But if you two just want to take a quick lap, turn up your spirit box, get used to asking those questions, and I'll catch up with you in like 5 minutes. We're not going to stay here long. I want to get to the history portion of this for you guys. You don't need to know how many horses are in the barn, kind of thing. So this is just so you get used to your device.
And you said to ask it like if you're here, what color is the barn?
Yeah.
Okay. And just like walk around the parking lot?
Yeah. Just take one quick lap. That's it. This one's nice and simple. All right. So go ahead and point your camera straight at this wall for me and tell me what happens.
Yeah, so it warmed up. So it went from blue to red.
Okay. So watch what happens to the wall when I put my hand in there.
Turns cold.
Right, so it's going to fluctuate in color. That's why it's so important to try to keep somebody in view at all times. You want to see like what the actual temperature is in there. How is that phone? I've only had it for like 2 weeks. I had an older phone before and had to kind of upgrade to that one. How does it feel? Like, does it feel slippery?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I'm trying really hard not to do is press buttons.
Okay.
Especially with my big stupid hands.
Okay.
So, and also obviously keep the viewfinder clear.
Yeah, I see you wiping it off.
Yeah, and I figured that it had to do with thermal, and I know FLIR is a good brand, so it's not like it's a cheap camera or anything. But I also was like, who knows, maybe I fingerprinted it, and maybe it could, fuzz it out a little bit.
Before I leave the house every day, I pull everything off the chargers. Fire truck, what color's the barn? I pull everything off the chargers, and I literally sanitize everything with Clorox wipes. If I only have a team of 4 or 10, it doesn't matter. I Clorox everything. So at times, if you saw a little bit of a dot on there, it may have been from the Clorox wipe. I've never had that happen, but who knows, it could have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is going to be a little bit blurry, just because it's not used to all of that. What words do you have on your list? Because I'm sure a few things have generated.
Since I started, it's cost, proof, Sarah, float, little, top, don't lie, barely, and suspect.
Okay, all very vague.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything?
Just music.
Okay, and that's okay. If it's a song lyric, it could be a song lyric we're waiting for. So again, that's all we're waiting for is voices. I don't care how they come through. All right, so how was your EMF when you were walking around?
Nothing when we were walking around, but I got 2 spikes at 22 when you were talking before we started walking.
Okay, pretty cool. We are relatively close to a building. I would expect that to maybe go up to 10 to 15 based on the distance that you are from the building, because it does have wiring in it, of course, but that extra 12, that's pretty high. So 22 would have probably caused a regular K2 meter to actually, and I have one. I may even pull it out at the next stop just to keep it in my bag so you guys can see it versus what he has going on. Go ahead and pull up that antenna that's on the top there. I'm going to show you how to turn this thing on. Now flip it around and open up that little clip that I had open for you that you shut.
This guy?
Yep. And you can keep the flap open because you're gonna, see that's kind of a pain. There's 2 little white buttons back there.
Yep.
The one towards the edge, right underneath.
Yep.
Go ahead and click it all the way in. Sometimes it can be difficult. There you go. Now go ahead and flip your device around. Okay. Now you see the green dot at the very top.
Yep.
That's what's measuring the EMF around the antenna.
Okay.
So in the event something gets close to it, watch your eyes. It's gonna flash at you. Now, in the event it starts going wonky and it's all over the place and it's just from you jostling it, because it will do that. There's 4 buttons on the right-hand side, so the very bottom one, if you hold it in, will reset it. It'll just kind of take that EMF field that's all broken and straighten it back up again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I have the range on the EMF around the antenna pretty small. I don't want it wide because you're going to be moving, which means it's going to be picking up bugs that are flying by you and every little thing. We don't want false positives. It is tight. You're going to, I mean, you can see where my hands are.
Yeah.
That's where it starts. So I don't want all of that huge range. Now, in the event at our last stop, because that is kind of like a level 3, if you want to experiment with it and set it down and watch it, I'll show you how to widen up that range so we can see what actually happens. That'll be kind of an experimentation that we'll do. I did it last night. We got a little bit of a spike, but not much. So,
Okay.
Trying to think. So I'm going to turn off the temperature on that for now, just so all of the battery power will go to the regular EMF on your red screen. So there's a button on the face right here where my finger is. Hold that down until that bottom number disappears. Perfect. So you're going to see your EMF fluctuate a little bit more now.
Yeah.
I leave it on at the beginning so that way you know where everything is, and now you are fully functional. You can't screw it up, man. So we are going to go to the next stop already because everybody seems to have a really good gist on what the devices do. Again, I want to get to the history so you kind of know what's going on. We are going to shut the REM pod part of it off while I'm talking because, again, if it starts going crazy and we do have activity, not that I want to miss it, yeah, again, just leave that flap open.
Okay, excellent. Close it.
Yeah.
So leave that open. Which one do I push? The
It's
left one?
Yeah, it's the one towards the edge.
Okay, and I just push. Push it. Okay, it's a.
So it'll pop out. There you go. You got it. So the next part is actually, it's got a little bit more than a one-liner. So let's go learn some stuff, right?
Okay.
You seem excited. You stoked?
I'm excited. Yeah, I want to see what these things do.
The thing about the TV shows is they never explain what they actually do. There's very few investigators that will actually take the time in front of the camera that will actually explain it. That's why I like listening to Grant Wilson tap so much, because he knows the equipment. The problem with the way he investigates his methods is he only uses one device at a time.
That's the guy with the funky hairstyle. It's more like a slick back, right? He's kind of muscular. That guy.
No, that's exactly.
Oh, okay.
Grant Wilson was he was one of the original TV shows. It was called Ghost Hunters. It was him and the bald guy.
Yeah.
Can't remember his name. But Grant, he has a new show now. He has a new team. Like he's actually doing pretty well for himself. So
So when you have a group of 10, do you have 6 more devices that you will use?
yeah.
So then for the
Are they
smaller group,
different,
are these
or-
like the best,
Yes.
combination of things you can have?
Yes. So you have to imagine I get anywhere between 2 to 10 people. So even at an odd group of 9, I still kind of have things set up to where I normally go into this lot because it's empty. Obviously, I go to the parking lot, and it's going to be pretty heavy. Yeah. All right. So if you don't know where to park by the time we're done, you guys got issues and you didn't pay attention. But don't park here; it's too expensive. So yeah, they force you to pay for like 8 hours.
I probably spent $100 in parking since we've been here between meters and.
I pay for a garage.
Yeah.
So
It just got so much easier instead of fighting for parking, especially on weekends like this. Because I was, trying to find a meter by where we start. It's impossible. So, New Year, I made a few phone calls, got the cheapest rate I could. So I paid $50 a month,
yeah,
and I have a set parking space.
Yeah,
Like it's mine. So
Yeah.
it's really cool. And it's at the end of the tour, so I can get right back to my car. And in the
Nice.
fall and winter, I do 2 tours a night. So I do 7 and 9 o'clock. So I have to sanitize everything in between because you guys put all your germs on shit, and then I gotta go back and wipe it all off and get back to my next group. It's literally a 5-minute walk. So I leave my garage at 8:40 and meet you guys at 8:45. So anyway, back to the story. Where the hell are we? This is what. Well, this is not. This is what. This is where Eliza and Charles had their mansion. So Eliza and Charles Pinckney, we met at the corner of Pinckney and East Bay Street. So Pinckney's a pretty prominent name. If you haven't heard it, you guys have been here a few days, probably have heard it already. But their mansion sat in the front facing East Bay. We're standing right about where Eliza's garden was, and it went all the way across the lot. And then in the back of the lot is where the servants and slaves' quarters were. So like little tiny, we'll say shotgun houses. We won't call them huts. They're probably right in between the sizes. But anyway, so Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. So that's 3 Charleses. I know I'm boring. There's a lot of history here. You guys were on vacation. I expected it. I did the same thing. There's 3 Charleses. So the son and the nephew, they were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Pretty big deal. But you guys were on vacation and don't want to talk about politics, I'm sure. So let's talk about Eliza. She's way cooler anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age. By the way, this is not a place where you're going to get what color was George Washington's white horse type of questions, like what we did at the Red Barn. this is going to be, you're going to find out through your spirit boxes. So Eliza married Charles at a young age. I'm going to tell you what age, but it is, Charles was over double her age when they got married. That kind of gives you a clue on what their ages were. But anyway, she did that because her father over in England thought he was dying. And he wanted to see all of his kids one last time. She didn't want to go home because she didn't feel like he was going to be dying yet. She was right, even though she got married and kind of said, Dad, I want to stay put. This is the mid-1740s, so there was no such thing as citizenship yet. Didn't give her citizenship. She said, Dad, I don't want to go anywhere. So Dad got better. He started sending gifts over from England. One of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. So you guys have only been here for a day, but you're going to see that word all over town. Now you're going to know what it means. She was a botanist. She experimented with plants. That's why I point out where her garden was. So again, indigo is a plant that makes blue dye. It makes our blue jeans blue. Nobody here is wearing it. I can't tell if they're wearing blue jean shorts or not. But anyway, that's still how we use that particular crop today. So it's a pretty big deal. Civil War, just for an example, the North wore blue. That's obviously indigo. The South, we wore gray. That's less indigo. That's all that is, because it was originally white. So indigo was a big prominent. So anyway, she obviously experimented with it here, but had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated in our very weird temperatures. So our slaves are actually from the Gullah culture, straight from Africa. They know how to keep things cultivated and keep it going. Indigo was already here because of the Gullah culture, but she capitalized on it by calling Dad and said, give me some contacts, I'm going to sell my shit overseas. I'm sure she didn't say that in the 1740s, but you get the gist. So that's exactly what happened. Good thing, rice plantations were going downhill. We needed another cash crop to not only save Charleston in South Carolina, but all 13 colonies. So kind of put that in your back pocket of how important she actually was. So I'm just giving you the iceberg of the things that she's done so you have some stuff to go on with your spirit boxes and what to look for on your thermal imaging camera. However, there are a lot of weird facts about Eliza that will prove that she's actually here. So, ask anything you want to about her death. How old she was, that's obviously a fact. Where did she die? What did she die from? Where is she buried? And what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral? If that doesn't tell you how important she was, I don't know what would. You can ask about her kids. I obviously gave you one name already, Charles, but I didn't tell you how many kids she had, how many boys, how many girls, and what their names were. If you're going to ask questions about the children, leave it at what I gave you. You start poking around with the kids too hard, you're poking a bear, and there's a tragedy involved. All activity will stop. I can almost guarantee that. So if we are getting activity and you say, oh, what was the tragedy with so-and-so? Boom, everything shuts down for the rest of the night. I don't know what Eliza's hold is on Charleston, but she's got a good one. You can ask what happened to the mansion. It's obviously not here anymore. And you can ask when that happened. So hopefully you get a year. Obviously I'm looking for 2 digits. We're probably not going to get the full year. What else? Oh, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. Yeah, right? It's kind of a jerk move. So, with that said, both Elizas go by their maiden name. You guys all look like you're old enough where I don't have to explain what a maiden name is. You'd be surprised. We'll leave it at that. But they both start with the letter L. That's all I'm going to tell you. And that's what they go by. So that way we know which Eliza we're talking to. So far we know we have 3 Charleses and 2 Elizas. There's another name where there's 3 of them. And I always need another clue. And don't get excited about one thing that you said where it says president, which it doesn't. It says promise home. But it says president, but that doesn't tell me anything. What president was the pallbearer? Am I excited about president? Yes. But that means there's hopefully something else there. I want backup proof. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, questions, comments, concerns about this
How quickly
location?
do you get an answer? Like if you ask a question, because you don't want to just rapid fire questions.
Definitely not.
Right.
So what you'll want to do here is you want to ask the same question repeatedly about once every 15 seconds. After 4 or 5 tries, I kind of move on to another question. So about a minute to a minute and a half. Now granted, the answer can come up 20 minutes from now when we're walking down the street. If it's that specific of an answer, it could be, and it has happened. But also keep in mind, we have 4 communication devices tonight. You could get the answer from your question, or it can go here. It can go to my audio as a disembodied voice, and he's also recording audio. I've had that happen before. A lot of times, when I have just a group of 2, if you guys didn't show up, I would probably be using one of these devices. And I would walk away and say, hey Eliza, how many people did I bring with me? And then you're going to turn around and say, I just heard the number 2. That's a very specific question. I didn't say how many people are here. I said, how many did I bring with me? It's very specific, and it happens often. So again, I like to show that kind of proof that it can go anywhere. So that's why I say the audio that I'm recording right now, you guys have to listen to those EVPs. So, and it is hopefully with headphones or in the car where it's loud enough where you can hear the background noise. And even though we have the talking from the restaurant behind us and whatever, you should be able to make out distinctive voices. This is a 3-way audio recorder. It's recording me with one mic, and then there's 2 mics facing this way. So that way it's picking up everything. So that way I'm not going to be the only thing you hear. I do that purposely. I tried a single mic. It's not as good as what we're using now. Again, upgrades all the time. So we will spend a good 10 minutes here, granted on how much activity we're going to get. This is a great place for you to go ahead and turn on that motion detector. Walk slowly. If you're a heavy stepper, it's going to pick that up every time. So if you're a stomper, it's going to jolt every time. I didn't watch you walk, sorry. So as far as your camera goes, again, same principle. Somebody's coming up to their car, because we get the restaurant folks that could come to their cars for their breaks. You're just casually holding a cell phone. So granted, they don't know what we're doing, but if I was a car thief, this would be my main tool. Why? Why is that? You're looking at it.
No,
Someone's in a car?
You can see how long the car's been here.
Yeah.
On its temperature.
you know, I was looking at some of the tires to see if I could see any warm tires or anything too.
Right. So I can see how long the car has been here. Now also keep in mind, you can't see through glass. It looks like glass is an object because it's only reading temperature basis.
Yep.
There can be white outlines on things to kind of show you what a 3D version of that would look like. All right, so this is where you guys get to spread out. I'm going to check you guys into the booking agent just to say that you're all here and give you guys a few minutes before I start following up. So this is definitely turn up your spirit box and start listening. I did not notice my homeless friend up by the gate, but it doesn't mean he won't come by later. He does not like loud noises. So obviously stay in your pairs minimally. If you're going to work together as a team, that's cool too. But yeah, every once in a while we get a homeless guy up there and he doesn't like my spirit boxes. It wakes him up. Okay, sorry for ruining your house, bro, but we're ghost hunting here. All right.
So we just kind of stay in the parking lot?
Yeah, we're definitely staying just in the lot, so we're not going any further. Don't go in between cars, people get weird about that too, so stay in open space areas, and keep in mind that's the only way in and out of here. Perfect, you got it. So people do like to fly in and out, so it just kind of depends on where the cars are going.
Okay.
All right, give me 2 minutes and I'll start following up with all of you to see where we're at with stuff.
Alright.
I'm going crazy.
You want to keep me in the shot so you can get your thermal image?
What's your EMF reading right now? 0. We'll find a hot spot so she knows where to ask questions.
Anything you want to ask Eliza?
I believe so. Awesome.
No, don't put me on the spot.
You said you can ask how old she was when she died. Eliza, you're here. How old were you when you died? Which president was at your funeral? How many children did you have? Did you see that? Lightning. What is your maiden name?
maybe 8 or 9 minutes.
That's very
Okay.
specific.
Yeah. Well, I use MinuteCast, so I know what to do.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. AccuWeather app is beautiful for us because in Charleston, like it could be spur of the moment. Like you just never know. So in the event that it starts raining too heavily, I'll ask that you either pocket your phones so that to keep them dry, and then we will head over back to where we were. There's a little shelter over there because if we try to go to the market, we're not going to be able to get in. Plus,
Okay.
it's too far away. It takes like 5 to 6 minutes to get there anyway.
Okay.
So we'll just go right back to where we were across the street.
Cool.
Have you gotten anything? I haven't checked up with your list yet.
I've gotten 7 and noon.
Maybe noon would be 12. Does 12 have anything to?
I'm thinking of birthdays.
Yeah, because you asked.
I asked how many kids does she have. I asked what year did she die.
And then where did the number 12 come from?
Well, if you said noon, if noon was on there, I was just thinking maybe it means like
gotcha.
maybe it means like 12 or something like that.
This would probably be way more specific than hers.
Okay.
Like this one has 9,100 words and phrases in there.
Ah.
So with that one, it's totally random. So in this, they can actually pick her word specifically. I see where you're going, and I appreciate it. But unfortunately, with this particular one, that's not how I look at it.
Okay.
So if I was talking about the barn, we'd want to see red on here with her, maybe fire truck or blood or something.
Across the lines.
Okay.
And even still, last night, for example, your spirit box, I was at the very last location, a half a mile away, and the word lot came up. 2 words later, the word barn showed up. And I say red barn lot every single night.
Oh.
I call it that specifically.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, okay, it's vague and half a mile away, but I'm still gonna like.
I'm gonna call it. It's 20%.
Yeah.
I called, like, I think when I gave it to him in there, because I said, I'm not going to bold this, I'm just going to put this in a separate line of the analysis. You know, it wasn't like, oh my God, this is evidence. It was just closer to evidence than it was coincidence to me. So it was kind of like in the 25%ers. So that's kind of where I put it. So it was kind of like, all right, I still call it the red barn lot every night. And we did get the term blood when I said, what color is the red barn, or what color is the barn? So I do want to show you some evidence. You're more than welcome to see it too. It's only because it's the camera that he's using.
Mm-hmm.
And it took place here. That's why I wait to show it until we're actually here. So that way I'm not taking away from everybody else using their stuff. So everybody, when I do have the digital camera out on the lasers, everybody gets their own folder, because this is the only thing I outsource. So that's why you see all my logos all over the place.
Right.
And then of course if something shows up that's actual evidence, it goes into the evidence folder. So this is going to be taking place directly behind you in that corner. So the orange that you see is the wall. There's 2 living heads that are walking by. Do you see them? They're orange. So we're going to look for some dead people, right? There's going to be 2 black heads coming the exact opposite way here in a second, right about there.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
So firemen and mechanics use that as their actual job. Okay, so when I get them on the tour, I always send them that video, and I've had a couple of Zoom calls with some of them so we can analyze it frame by frame. Every person that I've shared this with, there's no way it's a car, it's too far away. It's literal people. You can see 2 heads. There's always a person in view for a point of reference. It is definitely the same shape and walking movement as the people going the opposite way. That's why I have that clipped the way that I did. I didn't catch it in real time. They called me up there to go find some shadows that they thought they were seeing. I'm like, all right, let's debunk some of this shit. So I was like, is it a reflection off one of the lampposts or whatever? The next morning, I was like, I'll take a look at the video specifically. Boom, there they are. Got it.
I like seeing that because it gives me a better idea of what to look out for. Yeah.
And
And it was
sometimes,
quick.
yeah. And
I don't know if I would have seen
I
that.
have
in
other
real
things I
time.
gotta clip them out. I've been meaning to for like 2 weeks now. But there's one clip of our last location where somebody has like this blue blob over their shoulder, and it's just kind of waiting, and all of a sudden it groups together, it gets colder, and then moves. So it's kind of like, okay, I'll take it. Did you hear something, or do you guys have something?
Oh, we were just coming over.
Oh, just seeing what's happening.
The mansion might have hit the floor. They got low. we asked about the mansion, what happened to it, and it may have hit the floor and got low.
Technically, that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Technically.
Yeah.
If we're going to look at the semantics of it, that's actually caught fire in 1861. So on this corner up here, the fire of 1861 from Peninsula Coast to Peninsula Coast, the building was just in the way. So literally, it was just this corner, and yeah, it would have burned down.
Yeah, I'm like, that could be possible.
Yeah. So it's relative.
Yeah.
Again, the semantics of it are true. So it's kind of like, all right, we'll see how it sounds in the morning. Because if it's together, like hit the floor, low, 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 then it's
No, it was like shouting out low, low, low. Like the whole, like all the lyrics. Yeah. Yeah.
And with
Maybe
yours,
I just mentally filled that in.
and with your slowed down, just think of the month of December. What color is the barn? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. All I need is the color red. So it's going to give me Rudolph and reindeer. I don't need that stuff. It's going to slow down on purpose to pick up the whole phrase. That's why it's slowed down. There's another method. I actually have 2 of these devices. So the other one, when I'm doing my investigation, I go into what we call a Faraday level. It takes out all of the actual signal. So it's literally just skipping white noise. And just behind that is so you only have disembodied voices. So nothing is actually going to go. He's getting more activity over there. What's your EMF reading?
We're only like 4 or 5. It's been relatively low. What's going on?
But that should prove to you that it's not picking up on the EMF that's being generated on the antenna. I've only had your device for like 2 months, so I'm still learning new tactics.
Yeah, I've been trying to be careful not to like jump or anything.
Be a hard stepper.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Maybe we should have. Maybe we should have.
Wait, give what to you? Because of what?
The motion.
He said you don't want the motion detector to be with someone who steps hard.
Like you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She is like a bull in a china shop. I walk like a cat at home usually. Like I hate waking people up.
Uh-huh.
I told her I was like I might die before I wake somebody up to call an ambulance because I just hate waking people up. So I kind of got used to just walking really quiet at home.
You have to imagine what time I get home at night.
Yeah.
My wife has a regular job. She's at home sleeping. But I have to wake her up because the dogs will jump off the bed if I get home. So she sleeps on the couch until I get there, and I wake her up and put her to bed. She's disabled, so she kind of needs my help. So again, it's kind of we don't want the dogs jumping out of the bed. We have little wiener dogs.
Yeah.
When they jump on the bed,
I was picturing big dogs.
Yeah.
I have little tiny wiener dogs, so when they jump off, the one he has seizures because it kind of like hits a nerve, so he'll go into a seizure. So we have dog ramps, specified for dachshunds, but he doesn't care. He plays Superman off of him.
I think they have like bad hips and stuff. Like some
They display shit. Like he does his little hopping thing every once in a while, so we know it's coming, but we don't want to push the buttons. So wait and see what else you're going to hear out of this.
Have any good words yet?
Questions.
He wants questions. Whoever's here.
So I would say try to harp on one question for a little bit, like you were saying, like ask the question probably like 4 times before you skip to another one.
Right. Okay. And that's usually how I do it. I'll let you guys do it. I can smoke anyway. Some people don't like the teacher hovering. They get a little weird, and not to mention I do tend to talk over you, so because that's my job.
This will give numbers to you, said,
Yep,
right?
sure will.
How old were you when you died?
Let's see where we are in the weather.
How old were you when you died?
Okay, it went away. No rain. Yeah, it's going further west, so it should be good.
Being from Colorado, you get used to the weather not doing what you expect it to do.
I'm originally from Ohio, so you just expect rain all the time.
Yeah.
Like there's no such thing as summer up there.
Like in Denver, it'll be cloudy all day, and then when the clouds move away, it'll start raining.
I've never been to Colorado.
It's pretty wild, but everybody and their mother's moving there, so you might as well go check it out.
Well, Charles Charleston, we get something along the lines of like 300 people new every day. Like it's a lot. A lot of people are still moving.
God, I want to say ours is in the thousands. It's something really ridiculous for Colorado.
That's crazy.
Do you have a preference for being closer or further from people when you're trying to film them? Like,
As long as there's a person in view,
okay,
doesn't matter.
just to keep that heat difference.
Just to keep the temperature in there.
Think they ever get tired of answering the same questions?
They probably do. It's the same stuff every night.
Yeah.
I actually have one disembodied voice from here that says, "Just leave us alone."
Really?
And I came back the next night and kind of made my peace with Charles and Eliza. I'm like, "You keep giving me shit, so no, I'm not going to leave you alone."
You know, I've been thinking a lot about how much intentions affect, you know, what you see. Like, we kind of talked about it last night after the jail tour. So you know how hard it is once you have something in your head to try and like limit expectations, try not to put too much intentions out there.
Right.
That's probably the hardest part of all this that I've kind of found.
So what I tell you, like with the questions, why I don't give you all the answers, I don't want her listening for the specific age. I don't want her getting those kids' names in her head. Do you know what I mean? I give
You'll
you
start
Charles and
hear.
Eliza.
You might hear things that you want to hear.
I call them suggestive thoughts.
Yep.
Lee.
What do you got?
Mean anything?
Maiden
Lee?
name?
No.
No.
Alright. I don't feel like we're getting much from here, so at least you guys aren't catching it, which doesn't mean it's not happening, just means that we're not catching it in real time. So I'm gonna group us all up. Let's go ahead and get Alexandra back over here. I can get this thing to sit back up again. I did pull out the regular K2 meter just so we have kind of a point of reference.
Okay.
As you can see, like that's right around like the 15 mark.
Yeah, we actually got higher than that. Yeah, 30, 40,
This only goes to 25.
60. Doesn't want us to leave. We just don't.
So I'll kind of keep this so everybody can see it. Top of my bag here. Looks like this is good. Let's get back up. The rain's actually going to go further inland. We might see some rain up there, but we're heading that way, so we should be fine.
Yeah, we've been resetting.
You know, we parked right over there.
I know, I recognize the church.
So let's give you guys some answers. What do you want first? What are you most curious about?
What was her maiden name?
The one that planted all the indigo was Lucas. So, the insignificant first wife, Lamb. Eliza Lamb Pinkney, Eliza Lucas Pinkney.
Have you ever gotten Eliza Lamb come in to talk? Really? Okay.
Just her name, and there was something else about her that specific night. It's only been one time, but that's when I was like, okay, I didn't know what Lamb meant here. So a lot of the stuff that you guys are getting questions for, I didn't know it was. I'm an unlicensed tour guide, which means I didn't take the crazy 750-page test. Yeah, it's giant. Have I read the handbook? I have. But I still learn new stuff. The president bit, which I'm going to get into next, I didn't know that either. It was clean from out of the evidence. So when I see something show up twice in one week, once I start doing my research. So, Eliza died at the age of 70 from breast cancer. 1793. There was no such thing as breast cancer. We're going based off her medical records. Okay, so she was up in Philadelphia getting treatment for whatever she thought she had, and that's where she died, and that's where she's buried. That also answers the question of why we don't go to cemeteries on the Stories in the Cemetery tour. You're walking through one. Also, you're not going to hang out where you're buried after you're gone. You're going to go to the places that she loved. Obviously, she didn't want to go back to go see her dad when he thought he was going to be dead. So, who was the president? Any guesses now that you guys have the year?
Assumption.
Nothing? Washington. George Washington. So, yeah, very big. So the word wood will show up here? Why would?
Because it was
But they're
dentured?
Right.
Yeah, it was dentures, right?
Dentures are made out of wood.
But
Yeah.
that was false.
They were.
Yeah.
No, it's-
No, they proved that whole book that someone made up a lot of stuff about him. It's like a false. That
I think there's a whole website, a government website dedicated to George Washington that shows that they have real. And that's where I found my information. And again, it's the first time I came up with it. So if I have it and they have something related to that, obviously I'll give you guys a link. So, but I appreciate you trying to point me out, and I'll take it as a.
Well, I mean, yeah, it could still come up, but they found that whole book about his life.
So this might be me. Actually, I'm pretty sure this is me stretching for it. Like, but I'll give it to you anyway. The question I kept asking over and over and over was, how old were you when you died? 7 popped up, but it's not 17.
So a lot of times we'll hear 17 on yours. Somebody says, was she 17 when she got married? I'm like, no, but she was 70 when she died. So again, sometimes it's just misheard, but you do have a 7. So I'm definitely going to be looking into other birthdays, maybe the kids, those kind of things. I'm always looking at numbers. There's always something there.
Yeah, I think I heard a 17 on there.
Going back to Washington just for a second, the word apples will show up here. I've had Martha show up here. Just usually things around Washington. How did I learn this? George Washington's full name came up on the purebreds here. I was like, oh, okay, we got George Washington. And then a couple of days later, we got Denzel Washington showed up. So I had the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer words, and I was like, we don't need the Denzel. And obviously, Denzel hasn't made a movie in how long? So nobody should be talking about him on the radio, but somebody did, so we can hear the word Washington. So it was kind of like, all right, we got something going on. We learned that the mansion burned down in 1961. That was about 70 years after her death, so like 67, 68 years. The house was still in the family. Obviously, it's easy to get fire, smoke, cloud. Black shows up here from time to time. It's relevant as long as I get one of those other words. 61 was the year, obviously. What else did they give me? Oh, the kids. Let's go there. So there was Charles that I mentioned. We had Thomas, who led the Battle of Camden and lost a leg. He shattered in that house. So he shows up here. The left leg show up together. I don't know if it was his left leg. I had that happen. And then the other son, his name was George. Ironically, he was named after Eliza's father. And if you remember what her maiden name was, that would make her father George Lucas. So, just an easy way to remember. So, it's also what she named her son, George Lucas. So, he's the one that died as an infant. We don't know how old he was, days or weeks. His tombstone just has the same month and year as his birth and death. So, I don't know how old he actually was. There was one daughter, Harriet. She married in Horry. You guys aren't from the state, but Myrtle Beach, about 2.5 hours north of here, is Horry County. So that tells you that Harriet married into another prominent family, and it was obviously quite a distance for her and Eliza to be able to see each other, so they wrote a lot of letters. So I often get letters, pen, ink, anything related to writing letters. So again, I never know what I'm going to get here because there's so many different topics that she'll talk about. Sometimes she'll give you, if you ask her how many kids she had, she won't say 4. She'll say 3, no baby. Things like that. So it just depends. So it just depends on what we get. Trying to think, what else did I have you guys ask? What else did you ask that I can answer? I'm really curious about that 7. Like, I almost want to say that was the date of Charles's death, October 7th.
I did ask a couple dates. I asked what year she got married, what year she died.
Oh, we didn't give you guys the answers to the marriage ages.
Oh, yeah.
22, 45. 22, during those times, she would have been an old lady.
Yeah.
But she's from England, so they didn't have those customs like what we had here. Well, at least they were dissipated. Sorry, go ahead.
I think I was probably rapid firing questions in the beginning, and then after we talked again, I just kept asking the same question. So
Sure.
like, hopefully,
Something
get a
pops up.
solid answer. Yeah.
And this device that you have is probably the hardest job out of anybody that has because you can't always hear it. You're not used to it. So when I give you the recording back tomorrow and I give you like 10 to 15 audio markers, again, you're like, oh, that's how he listens to it. If I hear common things like our regular commercials of Diamonds Direct or Charleston or 843, 843 is our area code, I dismiss it altogether. So even if 84 was a number or 43 was a number, I'm not putting it in there. So you'll see like everything I'm looking for are odd phrases. For example, last night something came up of, what was it? It was something along the lines of like cleaning something up, but it was a phrase you wouldn't normally hear on the radio. I was like, oh, okay. It's weird, so I'm going to throw it in there. We'll see if somebody can tie something to it. You know, it just is what it is. From here, we're actually going to go to Lodge Alley. We're going to be going up East Bay Street by those very busy restaurants. There's going to be people outside, so try to keep up with me if you can. Obviously, keep filming. Might as well turn off your REM pod, your motion meter, and your EMF portion of that, the bigger numbers, are probably going to go crazy because of the parking meters. So you can pretty much ignore it. Okay. The lane lines and those are underneath the sidewalks. It's going to make it go off. If you want to keep listening and we're not chatting, you're listening for names. I'm not going to tell you which names until we get there. I don't want to give you gender. I don't want to give you the names. Like we were just talking about, I don't do suggestive thought unless it's something simple just to teach you something.
Was Allison a name? Because that should have come first.
Oh God.
No.
No, okay.
It almost gave me a heart attack. I thought you were gonna say you heard it too. I was like,
No,
I had that
no,
online.
I saw it.
Can I see your phone for a second?
Yeah.
Can I flip through just so I can have a visual? Maybe I can catch something.
This lightning is crazy.
I know.
Well, we do have Rose. And again, she's a botanist. So unless something comes up with that. I almost feel like there's a Sarah tied into one of the stories that I didn't tell you, only because it's kind of recent. It was about a suicide, and I think the gentleman's wife, her name was Sarah.
In that area?
In that area.
we were in?
So, did you guys see where the bike taxis were going in and out?
Yeah.
The previous owner of that, his name was Nick. He committed suicide in 2016, 2017, roughly, if I'm remembering the story properly. And I think his wife's name was Sarah. I could be mistaken, but it just kind of joggled memory. I don't normally tell that story because it's so recent. Disrespect to the people that are still mourning him. But you gotta remember, my stuff's recorded, so anybody can access my shit. So, like, oh crap, this guy was talking about my late husband. Yeah, I don't need any of that. So I'll dive into it and see if it's there. If it's not, I'll just kind of leave it there. All right. Questions, comments about the Pinckneys that I can answer for you? Let's stay dry.
Yeah.
Let's go up to Lodge Alley.
Yeah, let's enjoy the lights show.
I know, right?
We don't get thunderstorms in Washington, but once a year. So every time we get to a storm, we're like, oh, it's so exciting!
Yeah, no, this is pretty solid. I'm excited.
It's kind of how it is in Colorado too. Like it doesn't rain a lot, but when I lived in North Augusta, which is southwest of here.
Okay.
On the Georgia South Carolina border.
Yeah.
They used to have just the most extreme rainstorms down there. Like, you know, if you tried to throw like throw a baseball through the rain, like it'd get knocked out of the sky because it was just pouring.
Yeah, Seattle, I mean, it's beautiful during the summer. Winter is kind of gloomy.
Yeah.
But summer is what you live for.
Colorado's got a pretty high rate of sunshine, but there's that BS that everybody says about 300 days. It's 300 days of sunshine or some shit like that, but that's Florida. That's not Colorado. It always likes to, it likes to snow in April and May, so get a lot of snow. And at the end of winter and the beginning of spring, we get a shitload.
Yeah, we'll get, where we particularly live, we get like one snowstorm a year, and then we get to pick and choose when we go up to the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, we've got a couple friends that live in Colorado. That's probably the next place we would go if we ever moved.
Oh, it's totally worth it, too. It is.
Yeah.
I get why people like it so much out there that aren't from Colorado.
Denver.
Oh, you get like all the super early.
And everybody loves to go hike 14ers, and I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not really high on my list.
I would like to, but I'd have to like adjust to altitude. Otherwise, I'd just like
I mean, to me, hiking is hike too fun. Like after the fact, it's cool to show pictures and be like, oh, I just like nailed it. That's awesome. But while I'm doing it, why am I here?
Oh, I love it. You're like my friend.
I do a lot of bicycling, and I feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
Why the hell did I do this today? It's 104.
Yeah. Yeah, especially I was not prepared for it to be like that. Yeah, I'm like, wow, okay. It is intense.
You're driving in the city is a nightmare.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy over
What's with the moped gangs? We've seen 2 of them today.
there. Moped gangs? I haven't seen
You
them.
haven't seen any?
No. I've just been, she's had to listen to me complain about how terribly planned the streets are.
Oh man, it's like right lane ends and then it doesn't.
Yeah,
You're like,
but then eventually it does.
And then there's people that just park on the street.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll find a lot of places where the left lane is left turn only. So you get into the right lane, but then you have to go like turn in the middle of the intersection to get back into the left lane because that's the only lane, and lots of forks in the road. And,
We should have Ubered. I really wish we did Uber.
well, we've been going all over the place, so rental car worked for us the best. We probably would have spent just as much money on Ubers as we have on the rental car at this point.
Mommy didn't go. We were supposed to go last year in April, but then it cleared.
I think these things are pretty awesome. All the gas lanterns all over.
Yeah, apparently that's because of the movies here.
Oh really?
So when they film a lot of period pieces here, they'll put out gas lanterns and stuff. And it's optional for the buildings that get them if they want to keep them or not. So there's a ton of gas lanterns everywhere. That's what we were told. So
With like
It's reasonable. I believe it.
Washington.
there was a Netflix. What was that Netflix show that was shot here?
Wait, what are we doing?
Oh, Outer Banks.
Outer Banks.
Oh, I haven't watched it, but I've seen it on my
Yeah,
list.
California is.
That was filmed
You
here,
guys
and
like
then
to
we had
still do
a
that. We're very.
I know.
we had a person at our Airbnb that films the drone shots for that.
Okay.
Like,
It was pretty interesting.
most people are still pretty lax, but like, you can't go into an establishment without a mask.
Yeah.
You can't go to the grocery store or bar or something.
Any
Our
good
friends
words?
out here have been super like
Any good what?
diligent about
They're kind of
quarantining.
tough. I don't think she has her volume.
I mean,
There's a shitload of people
I'm
on
glad that
here.
it's getting people to finally start living their lives.
Yeah.
Nick, what was, during the pandemic, what was the tour industry like?
So they shut us down for like 2 months, and then they pretty much just randomly opened us up at the end of May last year. So I was like, all right, so I opened everything back up again, and I was turning people away. Like it was literally.
May of last year? That was pretty early on.
I've been busy there since.
That's awesome.
I'd probably turn away, because if you can imagine, if my tour group's only 10, that's a tour group, by the way. That's a normal tour group. You've seen how large that
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to turn that down. This is a quiet area. I'm sorry, I should have warned you ahead of time. If I go to 10 and I'm maxed out, I might squeeze in one more if you guys want to say, okay, I have another person. I'm like, yeah, I'll do 11. Just because we're from the same group. But someone will call me like, I have 8 people. I'm like, yeah, no. I'm not taking away from my tours and my reviews because this is the last night you're going to be here. You know, that's just not what I do. I'm not money hungry. I just want you guys to have a good time. So that's kind of the gist. So where are we? We're going to be very brief here because it is a quiet area. Did you guys notice the last crosswalk that we crossed over? By the way, we were just kind of standing there for a minute, and it went up Cumberland Street. That's where we're going to actually end, but I point that street out because that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So Charleston used to be a walled city. So this is one of the first streets that we had inside the walled city. So these 2 buildings that we see weren't here. They had little shotgun houses. The reason I was asking for names and spirit boxes, you guys were all chatting, which by the way, I love the fact that you guys are mingling. That doesn't happen very often, where my groups actually converse with themselves and not me. That's kind of like, oh, I don't have to talk for 5 minutes. But anyway, this is where people used to live, and I have that full list of residents and their occupations. The names I commonly get are Benjamin and John. You think those are pretty common, but when it's the 2 out of 5 people that lived here in 1801, I don't find that coincidence, especially when I get John's last name, which was Johnson. So John Johnson, and I get Benjamin, boom, I have it. It's proof for me. and I get it probably once every other month or so, so I never know when it's going to pop up. So I always listen for like the 5 to 8 minutes that we spend walking to here and while we're actually here. The Masons also used to mate here. This is where one of our first Masonic lodges were. So the term Mason usually shows up on your spirit box while we're in here because it's actually in the vocabulary. So that's why it's called Lodge Alley. This was where a Masonic lodge was. So again, this is Lodge Alley Inn. Every hotel downtown has a claim of ghosts, but they don't give me free rooms to verify. So next year, for more podcast episodes, the wife and I are going to be spending the night in the most haunted rooms in Charleston. So hopefully all those episodes will come up to be true and not me debunking what they're actually claiming that it's actually there. So I'm not worried about this drizzle, by the way, so don't freak out about your devices. It's that steady rain. That's where I'm like, oh shit, guys, put that stuff in your pockets. So we're going to walk through the rest of this alley, and when we get to the rest of the alley, we're going to be in a neighborhood. Tour guides are not allowed to be tour guides in neighborhoods. We're just allowed to pass through quickly. So it's exactly what we're going to do. Thank you for keeping the pace. You guys all seem like you're pretty fit, talking about hiking and all kinds of whatever. I didn't hear who was saying that. Who's the hiker?
Us, yeah.
Okay, so I was like, all right, this is pretty cool. They're keeping up. So, nice.
Can I ask one question here?
Yes.
So occasionally I'm seeing this jump up and turn
It's
red.
all aesthetics.
Oh,
It's
this
just
looks-
meant to be, yeah. So there's
Just
noise
looks
that goes
cool?
with
Okay.
it and all kinds of stuff. I just have the volume turned down.
Okay.
Because again, it's meant to be a game.
Yeah.
I tested, because there's a spirit box, they call it an obelisk, that they use on TV that gives random words. And I was like, oh, I need something like that for the tour. That'd be cool. But it doesn't give timestamps. If you look at your list, there's a timestamp and a date next to every one of those terms. That way I can match it up to the thermal, to yours, see kind of where we're at. So, I kind of know the tour well enough now where I know the first hour, like we've already been together for an hour and 10 minutes, just so you guys know. With you guys much longer, but I don't look at the time. I know the timestamps when we're walking. You know what I mean? When I'm listening for this stuff. So that's why I use that one specifically. Not to mention, it gives us an average of 55 to 75 words on a 90-minute tour. So again, if I'm with somebody for 2 hours, I'll probably get close to 100 plus, which is always fun. It just depends. So let's walk through the rest of this alley. Please be careful. It does get dark. The next portion, just so you guys know what you're heading into, is kind of like your legends and lore portion. So I'm going to give you some of the more common stories. And again, if we get turns from that based on the stories I'll tell you, sometimes I look to your device to tell, so I know which story to tell, because there's about 15 on the corner we're going to. But we'll do one last final big investigation at the Powder magazine looking for a famous female pirate. But I like to kind of give those in-between stories just so you guys have a little bit more taste of Charleston. Yes, the legends and more. Do I have proof of all of them? I do. Do I expect it? I don't. Just so you guys know where I'm at. All right, let's go have some fun. So is this way more involved than the other tours you guys have taken?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We just have little EMF things. And they told stories and so on.
Stories are the best though.
We did a haunted high school, or something called that, stadium hike. That one's supposed to be pretty haunted. We got a lot in a bathroom that someone committed suicide in.
Oh, that's interesting.
No, like even just the stuff you're telling us, like I find all this kind of history really awesome.
Well, I'd like to get a little weird.
Probably the most beautiful dumpster I've ever seen. I know.
We got the pulp in here. And they're pretty light. Ooh.
Yeah.
Fireworks going on. Everyone's like, stop listening to me and watch fireworks.
Haunted high school?
Lost it. Whatever it was. I had something going.
These are crazy roots. Those roots?
Most of these trees are protected. So, can't mess with them. They'll drop them.
Yeah, those are crazy.
So do you guys kind of like seek out like ghost tours and stuff when you travel?
Not necessarily. Just Charleston seems to have like a big.
I just know you mentioned you
we've-
went to a haunted high school, so.
Yeah, we did one in Milwaukee. We did one in Seattle with Steve.
Oh yeah. Oh, I did one in Portland, the Portland Underground. That would be give me the money. Someone could actually
So
let's try us, and they sent that to a tour guide, and no one else could smell it. And that was like the first year we looked like big ghost lady. They were like, oh my god. She's like, I'm smelling. She's like, I'm smelling a lot of musk. She's like, what is that? And the tour guide was like, what? It was really interesting. Yeah. The underground scene in Portland is more like risque than the Seattle underground. Seattle underground, they just built
like an extra level, the Portland Underground, that's like it was actually like crushed.
Portland.
So are you guys here a couple more days, or?
We fly out tomorrow.
Okay.
We flew into Columbia the Wednesday before the last, Thursday before the last. And then we drove in that following Saturday. And yeah, so we've been here for a week now.
Okay. Yeah, we're in town here just for a couple days, then we're driving down to Savannah. My mom lives in Jessup, so I think 45 minutes south of Savannah. So we'll hang around Savannah for a while, see my mom, go to the beach.
Yeah, we originally talked about going to Savannah as well as possibly Myrtle Beach, kind of jumping around a little bit, but it's kind of nice to just be able to come here and really do Charleston. You know, I'm a big food guy, so we've eaten around town a lot and tried to find some really good restaurants, and definitely did.
Yeah, I've been traveling for work, and so I've been eating pretty unhealthy the last 3 weeks. So I just checked myself on the scale, and I'm like, oh boy.
Oh, you did?
I'm at 180 now. So
I needed a bigger follower, so I wanted to come in with night.
Yeah, I haven't really weighed myself recently, but I'm starting a food truck, so we've been getting more and more into,
Oh, okay.
trying everything.
that's pretty cool, man.
How
Yeah.
many books have you
You're
read?
gonna do it in Colorado?
Yeah. I got into cooking a little over a year ago, and then it turned into we're starting a food truck.
Send it.
I'll mess around.
I enjoyed writing like in school and stuff, but anything more than a short story, and I just would completely lose my focus.
That's what the novelettes are for. So I write those in between my novels, and they're all the same thing. It's reincarnation into a specific type of trees based on life lessons that they had to learn but didn't. So it's interesting, to say the least. I have one called the Life Tree. The guy was a suicide. So I have an Umbrella Tree who was an alcoholic, so he was supposed to shelter another person in his AA group to help save him. And then my last one, he died of his ignorant bliss. His grandmother that raised him was a voodoo queen in their New Orleans community, and he never knew it. So
I might have to get your
everything
stuff
that you guys
so I
are
can
asking
get some
me
Amazon stuff.
is actually at the top of the data page.
Okay,
So
cool.
the podcast is there, where to get my books, where to leave reviews. The tools that you guys are using and the apps that I trust are all listed at the top. And that's everybody asks the same questions. Don't take that the wrong way, but I put all 5 major questions at the top before the data.
FAQ.
So that way you had it.
Yeah.
So have a seat. We're going to spend about 5 to 8 minutes here, kind of give you the gist of what's happening here.
Oh, you moved the
We're
possible
going to let you
around.
show them pass through.
More than one where I was sitting.
I want to hang out with him.
Casually pirate.
Yes.
There's a couple of
Is
pirates
that
around
a
here.
coaster?
And we're going to get into pirates too. Did you guys notice the beautiful alley that we passed up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to tell that story, but I want to know what words we've had in the past. Just give me the last 3 or 4 words.
Well, when you were talking back there, we got chills, parent, recording, men, infested, and then recently limp, cold, and virus.
Limp?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, limp is definitely relevant because that's the story I'm going to tell you anyway, and it probably showed up right around where that alley was. Technically, we're not supposed to tour down there. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was littered with tours. We're not supposed to go down there. It's residential at the very end, so technically you can stay on the one half, but to me it's pointless. I'd rather bring you guys up here because it's way more interesting to see. If you look behind you, there's a wall back there that's on that alley, and in the middle of that wall there's a doorway. Like there's an opening with a gate in it. You can't see the gate from here because it's wrought iron. But the whole point of that gate, that's what we call Philadelphia Alley now, but it used to be called Dueler's Alley in the 1800s because that's where all the duels used to occur. So if there was a loser, they would pick up the dead body, bring it through that death gate, is what I call it, that's my dub name, over this courtyard, over to the cemetery where that other group is, drop the body, and then go celebrate the winner. However, we're going to talk about a specific duel that we all tell the story of, and I get lots of evidence from. Limp is obviously part of that. So, there was a doctor that moved down here from Rhode Island. He was supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda. The doctor's name, by the way, was Joseph Brown Ladd, and I give you his full name because it shows up depending on which part of his name. So Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. The attorney that was handling the money said, "You're not getting married yet, send the doctor away and we'll see what happens." So he moves to Charleston to prove he's not just after her money. He's going to make his own. So the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. He's a doctor student, medical student, so he probably looked like he had some cash. So somebody walking by, seeing what was happening, his name was Ralph Isaacs. Now Ralph is a local. We're going to let another group pass by. This is the only problem with the spot. It's very popular. So
We've been here with one of the tours already too.
yeah, there's like 15 major stories here. That's why I look for the words to see what's going to happen. So
Yeah, I know. You gotta be drunk for this sort of thing.
A lot of pirates.
yeah, there's a lot of pirates.
Yeah.
You're in Charleston, you're going to see a lot of pirates. Alright, so where was I? Oh, Ralph Isaacs. So Ralph takes him to a safe place. He says, "You don't want to stay here. This guy's going to try to kill you." He takes him to 59 Church Street. It's about a mile up the road. So it's 59 is obviously a prominent thing here too, because that's showing up in the spirit, box in the door too as well. So, how you doing, buddy? Great.
I'm sorry, this is my job.
Where are you taking us?
I think what we're going to do, just so we're not interrupted anymore, we're going to end across the street anyway, so let's just head over there and I can finish this.
Okay.
Up. Sorry, I just like to try to be as close to it as I can, but with all those interruptions, we're going to be wasting time. Not that I care about time, but I want you guys to get bored. So, where was I? So, 59 Church Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Ralph and the doctor become friends. They used to go see plays together, but the doctor was making way more money at this point. And that just means Amanda's coming down. He became known as the Whistling Doctor. So, you can Google the Whistling Doctor of Charleston and get a much more detailed version of this. I'm just kind of skimming so for your spirit boxes. So, because the doctor made so much more money, he got better seats. And the hierarchy of Charleston, that's kind of where you sat when you went to go see a play. So they talked about this play on the way home, William III from Shakespeare, and no tour guide can tell you which theater that was because we had dozens at that point. So anyway, the doctor loves the new actress, Ralph doesn't. They start arguing. Then it turns into an insult party on the doctor's fiance, back home in Rhode Island. They obviously get pretty pissed off at each other. They go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He calls the newspaper up and he wants to put an ad in the paper telling the city of Charleston what a disgrace the doctor is to the city. He's not from here, he charges too much, all of this stuff. The doctor sees it and rebuttals with, "Let's go to Jeweller's Alley. Let's settle this." So they come down, they take their 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. He just wanted to prove a point. He didn't want to kill his friend. Ralph still has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap. You're just in front of me, I'm not trying to kill you. He puts it in the kneecap, which is where I got the word limp. And I'm like, okay, that one works. He doesn't die. His friends don't carry him through the death gate to be carried to his grave. They carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later, probably from bleeding out. So that's kind of what you did in the 1800s. You bleed out. So the word limp is definitely relevant during that location of us passing by Philadelphia Alley. We'll see if something else pops up that's relevant to specifically that alley. They say as you walk through it, now I can't take you down because I'm a tour guide. You guys want to walk down on your own, turn on your phone recorders, you might hear the whistles from the doctor. I have a few recordings that are kind of iffy about debunking them, but we have a lot of hecklers in town that when you're walking by, you hear the big whistle. What you're listening for is a very faint, like it's going to be very faint. It's usually pretty quiet down there day or night. Whose last day was this? Was it you guys? You guys. Yeah. So day or night is the most beautiful spot that we have in Charleston, hands down. So a couple of things. There's two sides to the cemetery. The side that everybody's talking about is a very quick story about a photo that was captured from a local photographer, Sue Howard Hardy. I won't get into that mess because I haven't heard any terms that come up with it. I'm just going to point out that there's two sides to the cemetery. We're standing on the opposite side of the west side of the cemetery. So they're standing on the east side. That's for native Charlestonians only. So this side, I like to point it out because, A, on the other side of this ivy is a graveyard, but John Calhoun is over there, your 17th vice president. They didn't know where he was supposed to go. They moved him several times. He's a Carsophagus, so they could pick him up and move him. So yeah, every tour guide tells that story. But again, if something comes up with 17 or John, you know, anything that comes up with that, I like to at least have that motion. All right, we're going to lastly talk about this building over here with the crosses on it. So those aren't crosses; those are earthquake poles. You guys already kind of heard the gist of earthquake bolts. Are you guys familiar with those? You're on the West Coast. So earthquake bolts, you know, we have the scare in 1986, right? The gist of it is those are on turnbuckles. So if a building gets quaked again, you turn turnbuckles and it will straighten the building back up. That shit doesn't work. Okay, there's proof. I talk to a lot of Californians because they're over here a lot, and they all say they don't work because I ask them every time. The interesting thing about those ones in particular are those are the very first earthquake poles that we put in Charleston. So that's why they're significant. The reason why they did that is because that is the oldest government building on the East Coast. That is the gunpowder magazine. So it held gunpowder for 7 different wars. It's literally, remember I told you about the Charlestown walls? This is literally the street that the Charlestown walls.
What's going on with the weather? See what was it like?
It went up the road and about half a block past where the powder magazine is and started going south. It's literally tucked into the pocket of the corner. Reason for that is because it's 3 blocks away from the water. If it gets hit from a cannonball, these walls are 32 inches thick. So if it penetrates it and hits the gunpowder and explodes it, there's sand in the roof, it'll blow up in the air, and it'll fall to put out the fire. Great idea, but that shit don't work either. So we had another powder magazine closer to the battery. If you know our geography, it gets skinnier. You're going to be much closer to the water. So it did get attacked. Sand went up and was unable to put out the fire. The building burned to the ground and no longer exists. This one has never been attacked. This building was finished in 1713, but the building started in 1703. It's a full decade. The story I tell here, I like to give you at least, there's some interesting stuff about that, right? So in case it pops up on your spirit boxes. But the story I tell starts in 1708. When Anne Cormack, now if you follow me on this one, there's a lot of twists. So Anne Cormack moves here from Ireland with her dad, his mistress, who happened to be her mom, to get away from his wife. You guys with me on that? Okay, I say it slow because a lot of people are like, hang on, say that again. I got tired of repeating it. So obviously things are going on. He moves halfway across the world in 1708 to get away from a stolen woman. So she obviously sees the building being finished. It's very familiar to her. She becomes a teenager. Now it's 1714, 1715. Pirates are coming through town. They're doing their bartering in between, you know, working at all of our theaters because pirates tie really good knots. She falls in love with one of these pirates. His name is James Bonny. So Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate, right? So what does she do? She runs away with James to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormack is now Anne Bonny, okay? She gets down there and realizes that James Bonny is not the kick-ass Captain Jack Sparrow guy that she wanted, because that's what she really wanted, by the way. This guy's a privateer. He's basically a spy for the British. Okay? So this is a coward in her eyes. She doesn't want this guy. So she falls in love again. Or guy number 2. I'll keep telling. So there's a lot of So guy number 2, his name is John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. So much cooler name, much younger guy. He's got his own shit. So she wants to be part of that crew. She goes to the new beau and she says, let me be on the crew. He says, okay, but you gotta dress like a guy. Females cross pirate ships. You're not going to be a female on my ship, but you could be a female on my quarters. So she agrees. She's used to cross-dressing. Dad used to hide her back in Ireland under his attorney as an apprentice to keep her away from his wife. Does that make sense? So she's used to all of that. She's like, whatever. Being a female in his quarters, she eventually gets pregnant. What's Jack do? We're going to call John Rackham Calico Jack, by the way. So Calico Jack, he drops her off in Cuba to have the baby, because you can't have a pregnant dude on the crew. So he says, have the baby there, come back, we'll figure it out. So she goes, she has the baby, she returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened. Now, she's also dressed like a female. She doesn't give a damn anymore about hiding her gender. This pisses Jack off. So, what does she do? He just captured another pirate crew and they're all down below deck. She's going to go down and flirt with one of the guys. Number 3. The guy that she's flirting with pulls off his hat, reveals his gender to be a female, pretending to be a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. I know, that's a tongue twister. So, this woman's name was Mary Read. Read a book, same spelling. So, Mary Read and Anne Bonny, 2 famous female pirates. She convinces her to become part of the crew. The British fleet finds out where they are. All the male pirates are down below deck. obviously, 2 drugs have come up, and Anne Bonny and Mary Read are literally fighting off the whole British fleet. Obviously, their ship gets captured. Also, keep in mind, I'm not telling you the name of the ship, so it's a great question to ask. I also didn't give you the name of Anne Bonny's mother, so those are the only 2 that I'll give you for the story. The rest is up to you. This is a level 3 for sure. So what happens is all of the male pirates, they're trying to hung pretty quickly. As Captain Jack is being captured, Anne Bonny looks at him and she's like, "You should have fought like a man instead of going down like a dog." So the word dog shows up. So the judge, his name was Nicholas Laws, he wants to see Anne Bonny and Mary Read separate because they were the only ones that fought back, but he doesn't know they're female. They revealed their gender once during court. He says, "I don't give a damn that you're female. You're still pirates." We see our belts. Which basically means they were claiming to be pregnant, both of them. Oh, I dropped it, didn't I?
Yeah.
So, by the way, that case is a construction case. You can't break it.
Okay.
So, with that being said, he says, "We're going to just delay your hanging. Send them both back to jail." But Dad is still here in Charleston. He has an Irish money. He bails Anne Bonny out, brings her back to Charleston. What we know from there, she got remarried again. Number 4, yes, we're counting Mary Read as a dude. Gets remarried again, has 4 kids, and dies at the age of 84. Don't know how we have such specifics, but nothing else. But they were common things that I read in several different books. I'm only giving you the common things. Mary Read, what happened to her? She died from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail a year later. So probably nasty and bumpy and oozy and all that other mess. So use your imagination. Do I know that they were really pregnant? I have no idea. It's up in the air. And also, some stories say after Dad brought her back to Charleston, she went up to Virginia to go start a new family. So again, it's all up in the air. What these questions actually are, there's a lot of holes here. So we're going to get close to the building. We're definitely going to listen to spirit boxes. Your EMF reading, your big numbers, are usually a dead zone. So if you find something, it's going to be common. This is definitely not the Kingdom Mansion stuff. But the spirit boxes usually give us a lot of activity. We get a lot of glitches out of you here. So if you see like a white film go over something, like it's literally like, it's crazy. I've seen it several times in this location. I don't know what happens, but usually a device will stop working if whoever's holding it where the white film was on your camera. I've seen it twice now. Kind of crazy stuff. I didn't even believe this story. I used it to people to Philadelphia Alex like that car. And then I had to reroute everything to come up here. And you know, it's not that I didn't know these stories. I'm not a pirate fan. Pirates remind me of my ex-wife. She was really into it. So it's kind of like, I don't want to do pirates. But the more I read about this shit, like, oh my god, such cool stuff. And if you're into pirates, The Lost Kingdom of Pirates on Netflix, amazing. It's a 6-part documentary. And it actually talks about a lot of Charleston pirates. Steve Bonnet. And I could put it in your links, that's fine. But yeah, that was amazing. So Steve Bonnet's in there. Obviously, Calico Jack, you have Benjamin Hornigold. Like it's a great,
I remember
great
we flipped past and you're like, that doesn't look
so
interesting.
let's go ahead and turn that spirit box up. Let's get your REM pod going. Obviously, we're going to stay away from other toys. It is now. And we're going to definitely stay away from James, just like we did before we managed. So, other tours like the pass through here, we're just going to stay out of their way. We're not going to film them.
I know what you're talking about.
Just walk around with your phone out.
Right.
I just carry my phone like this all the time. I'm a weird guy.
When I do my investigations, I have the red spirit box running on mute. I just listen to it later. That camera is in a cargo pocket with the camera just sticking out. So I have like a normal vertical view. And then I have that on my phone as well. So that's running. And then I have the audio running. So nobody knows what the hell I'm doing. And I'm visiting museums and going on vacations just like you guys. I just review it all later.
Yeah.
So, which ghosts are you specifically trying to ask questions of?
Whoever, mainly Anne. So
she's buried near here?
That I don't know.
But you said they don't hang out by their grave sites anyway.
Correct.
Okay.
The reason why it's relevant at this location is because of the years of this building. It's probably one of the very few familiar things in Charleston while her time was here.
Okay.
So that's why we come here. And that's why I was kind of like, I never got anything from being inside. I'm a member here. So like I've been through here and ran all my equipment the way I just told you and never caught anything. But for some reason, once I got caught there, I started doing this part of the investigation on November 28th of 2020. That was the exact 300-year anniversary of her trial. I got the number 300, I got the number 28, I had the name Anne. Like, I was like, okay, you got me, I'm in.
And not that this has anything to do with it, but wasn't the magazine moved from here over to where the jail is? I'm trying to remember because then they had a magazine over by where the jail is now that blew up and killed.
There's been several magazines around.
Yeah. I think one of them, they said they moved. I didn't know if it was, I guess.
And it wasn't that they picked up the building. It was a matter of where do we hide the gunpowder.
Yeah.
So it would have just been moved the gunpowder.
Yeah.
But this building has been...
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, and then the other one blew up, apparently, so.
Yeah, the one closer to the battery. I don't even know exactly where that is. I'd have to look at the maps.
Yeah, they said it was where the jail was, so
Okay.
that one blew up and killed hundreds of, like, a couple hundred people, and
Interesting.
that was in Mike Brown's thing that we'd heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Mike knows a lot of weird shit, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, Mike's a good guy. He's like, if I'm turning somebody away, that's where I tell him to go.
Yeah.
So just because I know, by listening to his podcast, he's a great storyteller.
Yeah, he is.
So. So yeah, this is definitely like a dead zone in here. I'm surprised I'm getting anything.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is so sensitive. That's why they use these ones on TV, because they're like, oh my god, look, there's a ghost right there, you know. And
Mhm.
yeah, Zach makes a big deal out of his K2s. They are super sensitive. This one I usually, like, now that I have that guy, this one usually goes to the kid of the tour. So like, I'm like, all right, look at the blinkies. Tell me when to go off. You know, I mean, I get kids as young as 4.
Oh my god.
So I mean, I don't charge anything under the age of 6, of course. You know, but
I can't, honestly, I mean, not like you said, it's not scary, but I can't imagine bringing my kid to like a ghost hunting tour.
My kid's usually on tour.
I'd probably, I don't know, if I had kids, I'd probably be like, no, they're not real, you know?
So my kids have been into this.
Like, they're real, and they'll
Yeah.
mess you up if you don't clean up.
Maybe there's a way,
your room.
I don't have kids, I don't know. Maybe there's a way, I was terrified of ghosts as a kid, so I wouldn't want them screaming in the middle of the night.
But you can see that I just showed you that this doesn't have to be scary.
Yeah.
We're talking to normal people.
That's true.
That's the whole point of this.
I like your approach. When we did the city jail, the first thing he said is like, this is an evil place, and you know, we're here to interact with evil. It's a little more
Word choices.
Yeah.
I have word choices too, but my word choices are, I have a personality, and my personality is going to go with it. That way you guys see I'm a person, and no offense, but them guys are reading script. I'm memorizing stories, and even tonight I noticed like some of the lines I gave you were kind of out of the normal order that I gave them. And I don't know if I have epilepsy, so I don't know if like that is like a weird thing, because sometimes I'll reverse words, not whole sentences. So it's kind of like, okay, why did that just happen? I caught myself. You see me like looking up like this, that's kind of like why I do that. Like, why did that just happen? Why did I do that? So again, I'm always looking at what's influencing.
Are you allowed, or does Bulldog Tours or whatever have I would love to.
So if it's definitely a crowd. But at any rate, it's just a matter of like, we have big goals of what we want to do with the company. That's me and my wife now. I have my co-host for the podcast coming. I have 2 potential investigators that will be tour guides for me on the weekends, so I can run. And I'm not going to be paying them like a whole lot. It's going to be, I don't know, $2 to $3 a person.
Yeah.
That's why they go to such large groups. My people will get half. You're using my name, you're using my methods, you're going to get half. So go have fun. And not to mention, you're only doing it on Fridays and Saturdays in October, you're going to make a killing. Because I'm going to book you out every single weekend.
Right. October is like, we
can't keep up.
were literally just talking about that. I'm like, man, I wish it was Halloween.
What month?
Oh, even Halloween week, it's not, like November 1st is the day to go, because that's winter solstice. Like, honestly, that's the day to go. What are we hearing up there?
Nothing. You're not really getting anything either.
Like I said, it's like a dead zone. Are you getting any words since we've been chatting?
Yeah. I got guard, straight, under chair, tag, David, and neighboring.
I saw 2000.
Also Murphy and twin.
About them.
All of a sudden.
All of a sudden.
Well, the twin would be this building, is the one that was down by
Yeah, and yours is going crazy. Or was.
So when I put it in here,
I moved my hand close to the antenna.
and I do it as kind of a demonstration, when I'm talking to girls, like, hey, if you want to get close, you just gotta get close to the little middle rod. But like in there, the way it sits, again, it can be sensitive. And there's nothing on inside my bag.
There's nothing I could have pushed to make it to go to 2000, right?
2,000.
Yeah, it's 2 and 3 zeros. Now it's nothing. So yeah, no, it went all the way to this digit.
So it looks like you changed the milligauss reading. So it was probably close to 200.
Oh yeah, because
Okay.
it doesn't have the dot anymore.
Right.
The decimal.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the milligauss can vary. So it just depends on how, like you must accidentally hit a button.
Okay. So 200 is still high, right?
200 is skyrocket for me.
Yeah.
Like this goes to 25. So my question is were you near that lamppost?
No, it's
No, it was just right here. Like when you walked up next to me, or close.
Yeah. That's
Alice, no.
So we'll take it.
I mean, can we replicate that somehow?
I'm hoping. We'll dance around a little bit. See what we got. Not literally.
Nice move.
I mean, any excuse to dance, and you got me.
I feel that.
So I like twin. I like the word lymph. I'm definitely going to be listening for things wrapped around the doctor story. So the name Amanda, anything that's related to that, the number 59.
It's weird that it said Alice, no.
So that Alice No thing, you have to remember, that thing is meant to scare people. So you see like Daddy No, Alice No, Satan, the devil, you see all that crazy shit that comes through. And again, like what we've been talking about all night, and the whole gist of what I do here is
Deja vu.
talking to normal people. There's nothing malicious.
I said
about any of
deja
them.
vu.
Was Anne Bonny kind of badass? Yeah. Did she stab one of her servants and kill them when she was a kid? She did. But the whole point of this, I talked about a doctor, I talked about an attorney, his friend Ralph, Eliza Pinckney, who planted something, did something for our country. So that was the whole point when I put this together. It was like, it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be. Do I do other things other than electronic devices? I do. I have spirit boards, I have pendulum boards, I have tarot cards, I have all that stuff. And I use it. I have to practice constantly. Are there certain things I'll stay away from? One thing I stay away from.
Ouija board.
I have one of those.
That was my
Freak
guess.
me out.
It freaked me out too.
I don't use a Milton Bradley Ouija board. That's why I call it a spirit board. You know, and my stuff is blessed by psychic friends of mine and stuff like that because I don't have religious beliefs. So I have them do it. You know, I know there's rules. I'm not stupid. I just know me doing it isn't going to do shit. Because the faith isn't there. So, but I won't touch a black mirror.
What's a black mirror?
Black mirror is basically a portal. Most mirrors are portals anyway, based on their location. But a black mirror, the gist of it is that you can actually stare into it and watch yourself age and kind of see where things are going to go.
You just like really piqued my interest. Can you explain more about this?
I won't use it again because it is a portal. When you don't know what you're doing with it, things start coming through there. My 3-year-old daughter was talking to the people outside her window who wanted to come inside. Shit was moving around my house. Freaked out me and my ex-wife. It was kind of like, all right, I don't normally see malicious things, but this is kind of like, I'm worried about my kid. I'm worried about me. So I sent my wife, my oldest daughter away, and that was a 3-day span that it took me to exorcise the apartment. It was not fun. I won't do it again, and it was exhausting. I don't know if I mentioned to you guys at the beginning, but I do have epilepsy. This takes a toll on my brain. When you guys bring somebody with you, a loved one, somebody that tags along with you, and when I say from the spirit world, they're not going back with you. They leave with me because I'm the weak-minded one. Might be the most intelligent person out of the group on Charleston. It doesn't matter. It's all about where my mindset is. I've already explained that I reversed a few lines tonight. Again, I have these stories memorized, so when I see that I reverse words or reverse lines, something else is going on. I don't put my feelings out there for you guys, because you guys need proof. You don't need to know about what my seizures do to me. You know what I mean? So when I see myself doing it, I see me look up a few times, that was me pondering, what the hell just happened? You know, and my head's actually a little fuzzy right now, but that's okay. I'll be alright.
So where do you even get a black mirror? I'm not going to go get one. I'm like so curious.
Online.
Put her on a path.
Yeah.
Online is a whole different world. So
the only thing I've ever heard about Black Mirror is like the TV show, which is a totally different thing, you know?
Yeah, like you can just literally Google Black Mirrors and you can order them. It's just a small little 1 foot by 1 foot frame or 2 foot by 2 foot, and they will send you a black mirror. Where is that mirror now? Well, once I got everything back into it that I needed to, it got sealed in a black velvet bag and just put it in I had a fruit cellar in the home I was living in because I'm from Ohio, and it stayed there. And when me and my ex-wife moved down here, the house was torn down. So it is in the rubble, and whatever they build there now.
This is a Jumanji situation.
Yeah.
So again, it was not fun.
When you looked in there, did you actually see anything, or was it everything that happened after the fact?
What do you mean?
Like,
when I saw something?
Yeah, did you see anything in it, or was it like after the fact that your, kid talking in the window and the things moving around the house?
I saw some things going on in there. And like I said, I experimented with a lot of different things. That's interesting. It's like Morse code. And look at what's going on here. But yeah, did I see a little bit of wrinkles and some gray hair coming through? Sure I did. But could have been, I knew that's what I was supposed to be looking for. Suggestive thoughts. It's the same principle of what I don't tell you guys in the middle of the course. What you're saying. I think with this conversation, we don't want to record too many dark things because people may be listening to this recording later. I'm going to collect devices. You guys can ask me more questions. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off the recording because it seems like you guys want to get into a little bit dark. Which is fine with me. I'm happy to help you and warn you.
Was David the name of the kid in Cuba?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's what we were asking.
That name's come up here before.
Huh.
I'd be curious to see the list.
You can take a look at
The
it.
list doesn't, I mean, maybe you know something. It seems really random to me. Because Alice, no, guarantee, calculation, humor, tablespoon, wall. And now it's not showing anything.
We just talked
now
about
it's
the
showing
wall.
dot.
I wonder if you went back to the calendar and then back to the main screen too many times. I'll take the millimeter. Nice job, by the way, being technical. See, you didn't screw anything up.
I
hope not.
I managed to break mine.